Let's still talk basketball, but right now on the home front, and it has to do with the Women's Basketball League. They just concluded one that went down at the Indoor Sports Hall of the National Stadium, Surulere. We saw MFM women in action, and they took on Nigeria Customs and defeated them in overtime. It was a feisty game, and the ladies went hard against each other. But of course, Kotsi Amaka Oko, who was the captain of the team, she led the team to victory, to their first title right there at the Women's Basketball League, emerging champions over Nigeria Customs. And of course, the cash prize was 1,750,000 naira. And of course, a big congratulations to them. They will represent the country on the continent. And one man who is very proud of what his team is doing, both in basketball and in football, is the Director of Sports, Mountain of Fire Ministries, talking about Godwin Enakhena. Good to have you with us, Godwin.
Udoka, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well, and I'm sure you are excited with what your team achieved at the finals of the Women's Basketball Championship.
You can say that again. It's still like a dream. I haven't woken up from this dream until.
Right, right. Maybe we need to pinch you for you to wake up from that dream. But of course, exciting moment. And there was something you posted just before the finals. You said, "Stand up for the awaiting champions." You had that feeling, you had that gut feeling that your team was going to emerge champions in that tournament.
Udoka, if in 2018 we came second, we came third. 2018, MFM Women Basketball Club came third. That was a few weeks after I formed that club. In 2019, we were ready, and we came second. We lost by a point. It had to be our turn in 2023. So I had that belief. The only book says work and pray. We had worked so very hard. We had trained coaches. We were ready. We had a couple of younger players who were hungry, who also understood that victory is in my DNA. I want to win everything that I set my mind at doing. And if I don't win, I will go down fighting. So for me to go on social media to say, this is our turn, our waiting champions, Udoka, I was so sure. The little boy inside of me told me, this is our turn.
All right, I would say once again, congratulations on achieving that feat. But was there at any time, when the game was at a draw, at full regulation time, heading into the overtime, did you at some point feel jittery that they might lose it at the dying moments?
I wasn't jittery. I was a man who was dead but was still alive. That's the truth. You cannot lead by a massive 10 points with less than 2 minutes to regulation time, to overtime. No, before, final is something, a basket. And suddenly you lost grip. Playing against a team with a lot of experienced players, you understand basketball very well. You know what that means. Yeah. Experience will count at moments like this. But the good thing is that I had a coach who had played this game to the highest level, Ojuko Wolabi, a young lady who has also coached a team to winning this same competition, a lady that has coached the the women's team as an assistant coach, a young woman who wants to win, who understood what I stood for. At that point, it meant that whatever you would tell the guests, they might not even listen again. It became a matter of, let's see if all they learned in training, because like they say, it is not when you're under pressure that you are coached. It is what you have learned in moments like this that will make a difference. And thank God for Regina Durano, who turned out to be the most valuable player. And of course, every lady on the side of MFM women basketball. I was intense. I ran out of the indoor sports hall. I went outside and I said, Abash.
There's something about you, Godwin, that I must point out. Some people might think you don't know how to handle pressure, but look, you can be very, very dramatic when it comes to handling pressure. There was a video of you we saw at the stadium where your team were trying to score a goal, and some of our sports colleagues had to report to you. I said you were going to deal with them very soon. But of course, you had to run out of the stadium, of the indoor sports hall, to Kabash. And yes, your prayers were answered. But I'd like to ask you, How really do you handle pressure when it comes to these trying times in sports?
It depends on what is at stake. That is it for me. For a man who administers basketball, football, table tennis, wrestling, and all that, the pressure, they all come differently. First and foremost, who are you reporting to? I'm reporting to a man who stands for excellence. Dr. D.K. Udoka left Unilag with a first class in microbiology. He left this country and came back with a PhD, real-time with distinction. Is someone who says to us, beat whoever is the best and you become the best. So I know that he's waiting. I know what he expects. Second is not good enough for him. So that pressure will always come when it has to do with MFM and Dr. Udoka. Well, for Sporting Lagos is a different thing altogether. But because I'm one who has caught the bug of wanting to be number one all the time, it comes in different variants as it were. Like you said, my colleagues reporting that they saw me. I was under pressure. A young lady came, I was giving me popcorn. I don't need popcorn at that point. I just said that, please drop it. At this point, I want to eat. I don't want to be distracted. But I tell you that different ways we are, under pressure. Mine is about praying on the inside and saying to God, I've done what I need to do as a human being. Please crown my effort.
All right, talking about crowning your efforts, 1,750,000 naira would not be enough motivation. The major motivation is that MFM will represent Nigeria on the continent. And I would love to ask, how prepared would the team be? Because we spoke to Amaka, one of the team players and also the captain of the team. She said, look, this is not just the first victory that will come. They'll win it next year. Next 2 years, they'll continue to be champions. So it looks like the team are bolstered, the team are ready for the future. But how prepared really are they for the continent?
Well, the continent is not a child's play. We were there in 2019, and it was baptism of fire. Yeah. A road you have passed before, Udoka, when you're going through that road again, you'll be no stranger to that road. All I can say is that for now, we want to savor this victory, and then we'll take it again at a time. For now, we want to savor this victory. Then the coaches, I will sit down with the coaches to tell me what are your plans for taking the continent by storm. I'm an administrator, I'm not a coach. So I wait for the coaches to tell me what is certain is that I want to do well on the continent.
Definitely, and we believe that MFM will do well on the continent. But some of the ladies we spoke to and also the fans around the corner at the stadium, they all pointed at the fact that if we had more basketball tournaments in Lagos, in Nigeria as a whole, then we will have a big dream of being world champions yet again in the world of basketball, because we will not lie, we have an array of talents from Lagos, Asaba, any corner of Nigeria that you turn to, we have these talents who play basketball, football, any sports that you pick, but our leagues are not running when it comes to basketball. And these ladies are complaining bitterly about the leagues. What will be your reaction to that?
I agree with them 100%, Udoka. You cannot play 3 games to win the championship at the finals and be ready to take on all the best on the continent. What I've always known is the final 8. Suddenly, final became final 4. You know what that means? Instead of playing 7 games, you only play 3 games to win the championship. Although we've been to Benin City, where we played 6 games, went to Akure, played 5 games, went to Asaba, played 5 games before we came to Lagos. So in total, you could say, okay, about 20 games or thereabout. But I want to say that certainly that is not good enough for our nation. But I hope at the end of the day that we move forward. And the Minister of Sport did say he wants to be remembered as Minister of all Sport, and he was going to support all sport. That support should come to basketball. In terms of money, in terms of infrastructure, Akure playing surface was not good enough. It had to be managed all through. The National Stadium in Lagos, that particular court, you know it too well, is not good enough for basketball to do. Let's have good infrastructure, because the first thing is infrastructure, and the next is the level of competition and how many games you get to play. Let's play more games and get our teams ready for the biggest stage.
All right, I was going to ask you about the sports minister's comments right there on the basketball court, but you've dealt with that. Before I let you go, let's talk about grassroots. A lot of us played basketball back then, but we're not able to break away from whatever we were and break into the big leagues. Now, what would be your message to those young talents out there who believe so much in what they have and they look towards the future, hoping for greener pastures, representing Nigeria and also playing outside the shores of the country? What would be your message to each and every one of them?
My message is that we have a new sports minister who says that he wants to pay serious attention to grassroots competition. And I know him very well. I know Minister John very well. We've had conversations. On Thursday, we have also had conversations about or around sports in Nigeria. And I told him about basketball. We are going to represent Nigeria on the continent. What can the Ministry of Sport do for us? What can the Ministry of Sport do to on air? Because he said that he saw brilliant basketball, that he never knew that basketball was so exciting. So, and I said to him, we have 1,000,001 young boys and girls around. If you start from the grassroots, football, basketball, table tennis, what do? Provide enabling environment, give us facilities. Nigeria will be world beater anytime, any day. That's my message for the minister. And I think from what he has said, or what he is saying, I think the future is bright.
All right, the future is bright, and I hope that I really wish that the minister was around when I played basketball. Maybe by now I would have been in the NBA, but I think that dream is long gone.
Not your look with you Sunday basketball.
All right, so thank you very much, Godwin, for joining us today, and once again, congratulations to you and your team.